How's it going, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Celestia Radio Podcast. I'm your host. As usual, you'll get it stuck in your head and be tired of my voice in no time, Matthias. And joining me are the usual two friends who I enjoy talking with oh so much, Nat and Dawlet.
G'day, everyone.
What's up? How's everyone doing?
Yeah, going all right. Yourself?
Pretty good. Matt, how are you? How are you feeling?
Yeah, how are you feeling? That's the real question here.
How am I? I'm depressed, guys. This has been a sad week for me.
Yeah, I bet.
Sad. I'm fucking furious.
I mean, I'm mad, but sad wins out over mad for me, and that's just kind of the way of it. So yeah, as you may know, we play video games, and there is a genre of video games called mobile games, but specifically gacha mobile games, that I, for one, am a poor, unfortunate fool sucker for. I'll let us say there's a game that we play, that me and Nat played, Dawlet's played it a little bit, that we quite enjoy, that got an end-of-service announcement this week. And that is Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia.
Yep, the only game that is keeping fucking Dissidia afloat as a series is now pretty much been announced. Well, not pretty much. It has been announced that it is going to be gone. So, yeah, I'm not happy about that.
It's one of, honestly, just my favorite games, and a game that I greatly enjoy, and I'm taking this EOS pretty hard. It hurts. Y'all, it really hurts.
As I said before, this is the only game that's like keeping Dissidia as a series afloat in Square Enix's like hands or eyes or however they see it, right?
So about that, you see, I was curious because I thought this was a weird choice. Because everyone that I know who plays this game has nothing but the nicest things to say about it. So,
Absolutely.
when End of Service kind of blindsided everyone, I got to digging around. And as it turns out...
Blindsided is a great word.
Yeah, no, they literally just dropped it on you guys. No fanfare. Just, congratulations, we're leaving.
Yeah.
But I got to digging around, and from what I could see, it was not making a lot of money. As a matter of fact, Dissidia, Final Fantasy Opera Omnia Global, and JP were amongst the lowest earning Square mobile titles.
Really?
That's not surprising, considering it's one of the most free-to-play friendly gacha games out there. You can never spend $1 and still feasibly get everything in the game, because they cared about their players and didn't want to nickel and dime them for every little thing.
That makes sense in the context of what I saw.
Right. Which, now that you've said it, actually makes a whole lot of sense. Also, on top of that, it is, as Matt has said, it is very free to play. Well, was now.
You can't buy anything anymore, but so it's...
Yeah, so that being said, though, now I don't live in America. I live in Australia, so I work on Australian dollars. So stuff that is high end, like the premium Moogle Pass and like the costumes, they are they are $57.99, which is it is $55 $58 dollars. So it's kind of a little bit expensive, and also on top of that, it is very free to play.
Well, let's back up and let's break that down a bit, because I think a lot of people will kind of skip over an important part of what you said. You're in Australia. That's huge.
Yes.
And unfortunately for you, in this instance, not a good way. Everything that is imported, and that means pretty much every game, is coming at a monstrously high markup.
Roughly, I kind of want to say like between 28 to 40%, somewhere around
Sure.
there. I'm making quick maths in my head.
Regardless to what the specific number is, it's important to realize that whilst you were getting well fucked by this game's pricing, that's not different than any other title. And it shouldn't speak too negatively to this game so much as the overarching concept of regional pricing kind of needs to get figured out.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
part's definitely true. Now, the pricing on those things, how you feel about them outside of Australia, where things are a little bit more equalized. Costumes were unnecessarily pricey, that's for sure. But at the end of the day, you weren't actually buying costumes, you were buying a gym pack of that value, and the costume was a bonus, which is
Yes,
how they
exactly.
reasoned that out. What they should have done, like many other games I have seen do, is just sell the costumes by themselves without the gems, and you see people buy it more, and then probably end up making more money in that regard. And then the premium pass was about $30, I want to say, and that's not unheard of for a monthly thing. Usually it's 20 to 30, so that's
This is the premium Moogle
yeah,
pass,
premium.
right?
Premium,
Yeah, so there's two different passes in this game. There's just the regular Moogle pass, which is, I want to say it's like $5 for you guys, was it? Or was it like
Yeah,
close to 8
5.
or 10?
That's 5.
Yeah, so it was like, I want to say like $10 or $12 last time I checked. And then there's the premium one, which is like, you unlock like all the like extra like missions and get all the goodies and whatnots, and makes your characters feel stronger faster.
It helps you level things up and get them up to par faster.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm curious
Yes,
about the
so-
battle pass. Sorry, I'm going to call it a battle pass just because I'm built that way.
It's the same thing. Don't worry.
Right. So, am I hearing there are 2 tracks or are there 3 tracks? Because this is an important distinction to make.
That's where calling it a battle pass is actually wrong, because what you're doing is you pay for the $5 or the $30-ish dollar, and if you pay for the $30-ish dollar, you get both, right?
Yep.
But the $5 basically gives you an experience buff, so that you level things up faster. You get the points faster, and then every what is it? Every event had like a certain like type of
Submission.
no, not that part. The
Okay.
power up currency, I guess, that you could get so much of by playing the event. Getting the $5 version doubled what you could get there.
Yes.
So you got more from each event to use on your characters to power them up and stuff. So not like a battle pass. You're not getting things for doing stuff. You just get more.
You get
Plain.
buffs, essentially.
Yeah, you just get buffs to your account, which
I
you're
see.
already doing.
Okay, that is different. Yes.
In the $30 version, I want to say it was $30. I don't remember, but it's around that. Gave you all of that, but gave you all of that, but a little bit more. So if it like for the $5, say it was a 1.5 times boost, it was like a 2 times boost for that. That's not exactly what it was. That's just an example. But on top of that, you also got triple that like currency points you could get from each event instead of double. And then you also got some tokens that you could trade in to get burst weapons, and I think it was X weapons as well. So
Yes.
that one gave you a little bit more, but you were spending a bit more. But overall, the real game changer things were in the $5 pack as well as the $30 pack. The $30 pack was extra because it helped you get, more things that you would normally summon for in the gacha without having to summon in the gacha. And that was probably their biggest moneymaker, honestly. Like anniversaries or big events, I guess you'll call them, for holidays and stuff, they would have some like special banners where you could like guarantee burst weapons or something, and you could buy extra pulls on that for some money, and that probably did make them some as well. But no, it's no surprise that the game didn't make a lot of money, because you didn't have to spend money to get stuff in the gacha revolutionary idea there, by the way, gotcha games. You know, treating your players with a little bit of decency, not trying to rob them of every single penny they have. You know, making it so they can enjoy and play the game. Who would have thunk?
Yeah, unlike Brave Exvius.
Brave Exvius actually does seem to make a bit of money. Not the base version. I'm seeing Brave Exvius War of the Visions, and Brave Exvius War of the Visions JP on this little chart I'm looking at, and it seems like the JP market is really hard carrying them through on that particular title. It's one of the few titles that is actually in the green.
Wow, really?
Yep, it's absolutely in the green. So is Final Fantasy 15 New Empire, and so is...
Oh, that one's surprising.
Actually, base Brave Exvius was absolutely making more money than it costs to put out. I don't know if this is monthly or yearly. It couldn't possibly be yearly. It's probably monthly.
Probably monthly if you're looking at what I think you are. Yeah, I'm not surprised to hear that.
I sorta am, ish.
Well, I'm not, because Brave Exvius makes you spend money if you want to get the stuff in the game. Like, that's just...
Yeah, because the amount of money they are bringing in is gross. It's disgusting.
Context here: I haven't played Brave Exvius since since after its like first year, so things could have changed.
Oh, they have changed, all right.
I'm imagining the things I'm about to talk about haven't changed. So if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Let me know. I'm sure people will. Yeah, because in that game, it pushes you need dupes for characters and stuff more so than a majority of gacha games do. And that's saying a lot, because a lot of gacha games make getting dupes very appealing. So how much money you think they're spending in summons, let alone everything else they have to spend money for in that game?
Quite a bit. Oh yeah, because there are... Let me tell you, when I heard that Brave Exvius outlived Opera Omnia, I'm just like, there is no fucking way. I have to play this game to see what's going on. And boy, the banners in that game, it is just there's just 5 banners straight up in your face that's like, hey, do you want to pay $40 to do this pull? And I'm like, get this away from me. Get this absolutely the fuck away from me. Because like, it is ridiculous how brazen and brash the banners and just the game wanting you to spend real money on is.
Yeah, I'm that. It wasn't quite that bad in that first year, I don't think, but that's not...
It's not like year one. Like, year one was good. I actually liked year one of a Brave Exvius, but like,
it's one of us.
Mobile games does what mobile games thing do when they live for more than 3 years.
Look, I've played some egregious games and how they try to rob their player base in the gacha gaming sphere. I've played a lot of gacha games. That game that always seems bad, like one of the worst I've seen as far. And I don't, talk bad about any game company or anything like that. I really don't. And I definitely don't about Square. But that game will never get praise from me.
I can absolutely talk bad about companies, and I absolutely will talk bad about Square.
Go on, do it.
Square in general has had a real rough shake of live services, which is what gacha games end up being in the long run anyway, right? As we've seen over the last 12 months, Square has proven that they are incapable of handling the live service route, with one exception, the MMO space. Everything else has failed miserably. Babylon Fall failed, Chocobo Grand GP failed, they're taking Opera Omnia off, they took Bravely Default off.
First Soldier.
They took First Soldier off. I wouldn't be surprised if within a year Ever Crisis gets taken off, though that at least has the backing of the single biggest Final Fantasy title going, so that one might actually be safe in the long run.
That one will be safe for a little bit, because Final Fantasy VII fans are going to push it.
Just so.
It is going to make money because the gacha in that game is pretty rough. Not terrible, but it is pretty rough. And yeah, there's unique Final Fantasy VII story in it that you're not going to get other places. And Final Fantasy VII fans are hungry for Final Fantasy VII stories, so they're
It
going
should
Oh yeah,
also be noted
absolutely.
that Square is in the midst of having an issue making money. Or not making money, but making the money they expect to make. It seems over the last
Right.
handful of years, every game that's come out has been met with the it didn't meet our expectations, quote. And even though they were very kind about it, even to 16, 16 we know did not meet their expectations. So Square at the moment is kind of having a crisis. I'm not surprised to see it's kind of cutting out the weakest links, and those weakest links are being judged by their ability to make immediate money.
I knew from the beginning that what was cut, why it was going to be cut. When I heard EOS was coming, I knew from the moment I saw it that I'm like, it's because it's not making enough money for Square, and that's just because they're looking at it as a big company. If it's not making in big dollars, then why keep supporting it?
Yeah,
Uh,
exactly right.
and that's awful to say considering it had a very active community. There were people I followed back when I started that game back day one that I still saw on every day, that I still did co-op runs with, that tons of people that still played that game. And in Twitter for the last week, it's been a week, yeah, in the last week since the EOS announcement, I've seen tons of people lamenting it's being closed. I've seen tons of messages in game of it lamenting being closed. It had an active player base, NA side and JP side, or well, global side and JP
How many of
side.
those people are
And
paying,
I even
though?
see people, well, yeah, I mean, again, didn't have to. The content creators were paying, but that wasn't enough to do it, because at the end of the day, even if you whale and upper Omnia, the amount you're having to spend isn't close to what you're having to spend in another gotcha game.
True. The money side of things is curious because I saw another graph. Again, this is what I did. I went and immediately looked stuff up. I don't know how the whales work in this game that might be different from other games. But the split in revenue, not sorry, in revenue, the split in paying players, as I read, was 70% JP, 20% NA, which is pretty damning if they're going to have a global version, that number is that small, and 10% everywhere else lumped together.
Wow, that's actually insane.
Yeah, I'm not
I
too surprised, especially on the JP number. JP gotcha players always are crazy with the spending they put into money, but
I mean, but that's
oh
not
yeah,
where we get the usual like whale thought process from. Like that's not the joke. The joke isn't the JP oil baron, is it? So
no,
I was quite surprised to see that all the places that get made fun of for having these big spenders don't even come close to the one group of people that was actually doing the big spending, who have their own server. So, if anything, what really surprises me about the information that I saw was that they weren't just shutting down global. Because that would make sense to me. Force everyone onto the JP server, make them suffer, I guess, but keep it running.
kind of
right.
like what the Star Ocean Amnesius did a few years
I
back.
wouldn't know anything about that, but yeah, like if it's been done before, it stands to reason that they saw what they did in a similar way to what I'm seeing now. Another thing that's been brought up, which I find curious, is there's not going to be an offline version of this game, which feels
Oh my
it feels
god! So they did confirm it.
yeah, it was confirmed in the
In the EOS
yeah, in the
announcement.
EOS
Oh, was
announcement.
it?
Yeah.
Oh
Mm-hmm.
shit! I
What's weird about that is I don't expect this for many gotcha games, if I'm honest. But for a Final Fantasy game that's using so much of the canon they've built, I would have expected we're breaking the game down. It will no longer be free to play. It'll be a one-time purchase of $60. And I would expect it to be pretty expensive. I wouldn't expect this to be a $20 or $30 title. I would expect them to try to put it back out for like $60 to $70. But you'd have how long? How many years of content at this point?
At this point, the game is 6
4 or 5.
years old.
Oh
Like
shit!
6 years.
So there you go.
It's 6 years old in JP, and so No, it's 6 years old in global, so it's a year more than that in JP.
So yeah, I would have
So-
expected this game to come out, feature complete. You have access to all the characters. You have to build them. I don't know how realistic that is with the game mechanics anymore.
I mean,
but-
considering they start all characters at 70 now, so building them isn't too
Oh, there
bad.
you go. Yeah, just make an offline version, have people buy it, scrap back a little bit of money again. Maybe don't charge people who already have it. I don't know how they would do it, but I am
Look,
surprised.
even if they charged people, I'd buy it.
Yeah, I'm sure
I'd
you
buy it.
would. Exactly, right?
It's like like I said, I've seen tons of people saying tons of things on the internet. There are your naysayers, they're the negative ones who always say awful things, ignoring them because they're just awful. Because they're always saying awful things. For the most part, even people that had moved on from the game, content creators that had moved on from the game and stuff, all said the same thing. Was like they loved this game and they only moved on from it because as content creators they had to grow their viewer base, which is fair. I have never held a delusion that this game was a big game. But I mean, I knew it was an active game. It had an active player base, and I saw people playing all the time. We could ask our friend Ramza, who's in the community, like fan made community Discord. I constantly see stuff on the Reddit. It's people played the game, so and with any live service game, eventually you're gonna see an end of service. Like that's going to happen, right? That's just the inevitable. There are exceptions out there. I'm sure that the game somehow is still alive from the day it launched to now. I guess original RuneScape might be an example. But it just with this one, it was so much of a blind side. It was for the players at least. I do know that a lot of the development team stuff knew well in advance, but it was just like we were still getting content, we were still getting new stuff. The JP side was like just about to release chapter 9 of the 4th arc of the story, and it's not even the final chapter like all the other arc finals and before have been called. It was literally just chapter 9, and they're like, this is a suitable place we think to stop it. And I'm like, no, that's just where you stopped because y'all are doing the EOS. I cannot believe that y'all thought that like well in advance of this story, because having played this story, like Global made it up to chapter 5, I think, of arc 4. And it's like, yeah, this story isn't something you're going to conclude 4 chapters from here. We've got at least another 6 or 7 to go. So they just kind of tied a pretty bow on it to end it, I'm sure. Like, I haven't played that final chapter. I don't know.
Has the game been having issues keeping players? Because the graphs that I'm seeing right now are pretty dire. They don't look very good at all.
I can't give you an honest answer to that because all the people I've been, playing with in Global are still playing. Like I've never had to remove somebody from my friends list for inactivity. There were still people chatting on the Discord from the way Ramza talked, and whenever I opened Reddit, there were 2 or 3, maybe or more posts of on the Reddit about different things. There's 4 or 5 different, fan run information sites to help players figure out how to do stuff that people were talking on and active on and discussing strategies on. The saw stuff on Twitter consistently as well from people. Maybe all of these things are curated to me because I played the game, but it all seemed really active from my perspective. Sure, it's not like, Final Fantasy 14 million active players active or whatever, but there was a considerable number of people active from my perspective anyways. So it's just, I don't know. Like, and I've seen people say, I saw this coming. And yes, I will admit, because the game has gone through eras of like the X era, the Chaos era, the Lufinia era, and the game's most recent era was the Shinryu era. And I'll admit the Shinryu era has been the weakest era this game has
that's
seen.
what I'm seeing is a lot of people kind of dipped out
Yeah,
during
like
this arc, I guess, era.
it's one thing like early on was from the EX era to the Chaos era was fights got more difficult, but it was a more difficulty partially because of a stat bloat on the enemies, giving them more
Oh
defense
god.
and
No.
HP and stuff that you had to
Uh,
get your characters up and buffed up to, equal out that stat
Let's
differential.
see.
Is the best way
yeah.
to describe those early eras. Then you got to Lufinia, which was very well received because the
Yes.
fights,
Actually,
yes,
had
there was
mechanics
there
that
was
wasn't fucking
there
stat
was a
bloated.
stat buff to them like the previous ones, but yeah, like Nat's saying, they were mechanics. Like you had to, yes, you had your freedom of building teams however you wanted to build them, but you did have to take the mechanics into account because if you couldn't deal with the mechanics, you're gonna die from a instant KO attack because you didn't deal with the mechanics properly. And that
Yeah.
was really fun. It was really fun, even
was.
to somebody like me who wasn't a huge fan of in-game content when it was in-game in Dissidia. I loved Lufinia fights. They were
Same.
engaging. They were fun. And then Shinryu tried to do more, but the one of the main mechanics from Lufinia didn't carry over into it.
Right.
Probably for the better it didn't, because of the way Shinryu fights work. That just would not have worked, I don't think. But it was just, they gave enemies ridiculous amounts of HP, but they had to do it because the new like weapon system and power system they put on the players allowed players to get ridiculous damage, and it just was a massive inflation of numbers with very little difficulty spike, and actually took away some of the mechanical difficulty and such to it. So it, not as engaging or interesting, and Shinryu was kind of boring. Like even I can tell you that. Like it was just not that. And that seems to be the general opinion I've seen from most people.
As much as I love the Lufinia era, Lufinia did introduce the premium Moogle Pass. And this is personal experience, is what I have done. I have bought the premium Moogle Pass that is $58 a couple of times. As soon as I was unable to purchase that pass constantly, I just stopped playing the game. Do you think that may have a factor into this bleeding, or like just this dip in player base?
I don't think so,
You don't think so?
because that was so long ago now, and that was almost 2.5 years ago now, and it's just now getting EOS. I don't really think that has anything to affect a diminishing player base, if it had a diminishing player base for a long time now, because at the end of the day, you could get everything that was really critical in that $30-$50 version for $5, and the people that were paying the $30-$50 weren't getting anything in that same critical sphere. They were just getting a little more of the boost, so they just did things a little faster, and they were able to get the tokens to get stuff. But the people that were paying for that, a lot of them spent money to summon anyways, so that wasn't even a huge thing.
So you don't think people are like, I don't want to keep on paying for this premium Moogle Pass? They stopped paying for the pass, but still kept on playing, and then they didn't have the mentality of, well, if I'm not paying for the pass, why am I playing, sort of thing.
I don't think so, no.
Okay. I guess it's just me then, because again, as I said, personal experience, that's pretty much what happened with me with Dissidia. I still like it, but as soon as I just could not keep up paying for that pass, I just stopped playing the game.
I mean, anybody that had that thought process, I mean, I'm sorry for y'all, because I've played the game for several months without any of the passes active, and the game felt exactly the same as when the passes were active.
Well, let me ask a slightly different follow-up. Because if you bleed folks, you can usually make it up by bringing in new folks. How rough is the onboarding experience at the moment? Like, how far behind will anyone feel? How much are they going to be bombarded by ancient content before they can finally do stuff?
Not bad.
Okay.
Not bad. Like, they addressed that not terribly long ago.
okay.
I want to say it was last anniversary for global. Maybe 2 anniversaries ago. Now, whenever you get a character, they're instantly jumped to level 70.
For mentioning this.
So, and that's only 20 levels below max for global. For JP, it's now 30 levels below max. And you have tons of resources to play in the game. And when you're already at level 70, the first arc of the story is a breeze. And then the way they staged the story arcs after that, doing the normal versions of them, is a breeze with 70s. So it's just, it's not difficult. You catch up pretty quick. You get tons of resources. So, for example, our friend Dan started this game. It wasn't this last anniversary. It was the anniversary before that, I want to say. So 2 years ago. He was caught up in like a month. Actually, I won't know. He wasn't just caught up in a month. He had passed me in a month.
Oh.
In terms of some of the things he was doing. He was doing in-game content that I wasn't even doing within that first month and a half of him playing. The early experience in it was fine, especially after they made those changes. Before those changes, it was probably a bit rough. Now, we'll say I don't think they ever really did anything to advertise the game to try and bring in new players. So the only way people were hearing about it was by the other players that were playing, word of mouthing it to their friends and stuff. But unless you play gacha games, you're not going to be interested in these games most of the time.
Not only that, the start dash campaign. I was going to say campaign. The start dash banner, like that's generally free, right? Or it's like cheap. It's like getting a burst weapon is like pretty easy because it's like it's not guaranteed, but it's like a really higher rates for Squall, Cloud, and
I don't
Lightning,
remember.
correct?
I haven't had the start dash pop up for me in a long time. So,
but regardless, I'm pretty sure that's usually like the first 10.
First impulse.
So this is just the standard. This is the standard get one
I'm
powerful unit banner that every gacha game has, except for MiHoYo games because they genuinely don't like their player base.
Yeah.
Yeah, got it.
Yeah, it's. I mean, to be fair, with Lightning, you could solo so much of the game.
This is what I kept hearing is Lightning in particular on that banner. Not that the other two were like bad, but Lightning was the overperformer.
Well, yeah, that's kind of it. Like Lightning was self-sustaining. The other two definitely needed supports. That's the big difference between them. And God, was Lightning self-sustaining. It's.
Oh yeah, best.
I've as I was saying before, like this EOS, I knew it was going to come eventually. It just felt really out of the blue. It felt like there was still so much to do. There were so many big name characters from some of the titles we still never got in the game.
Yeah, Thunder God Sid or Delete.
Well, like anybody else from Tactics.
Wasn't Ramza or Agrias.
Riku.
We didn't get Riku. We didn't even get Red 13. Yeah, like there's some notable party members in some of the games we didn't get. For the most part, we got most of the main party members in most of the games, and we're dipping into some of the not external, but like not direct main character cast and side character cast, which was fine. Sure. It was giving more character and fun interactions with those characters, which was part of the fun of the series. So it's just it's a really sad thing to me because this game means a lot to me. I looked at the time frame, this being 6 years this February since its launch, and then I looked, and you guys remember what 6 years ago was?
No.
It's when my family lost our house.
Ah, that's right.
Oh no!
Yeah.
Oh.
Shortly after we were out of the house, it was this game came out, and I thought back to it, like I said, this week was rough for me. Every difficult thing, and there's been a lot of them over the last few years for me, that I've had happen to me, this was the game I went to cope and just drown everything out.
Oh my god, I'm starting to remember it now.
This game was my comfort place, man. Like I loved this game, and because it was like whenever I was doing YouTube videos for gacha games and stuff, it was like I would always do like these are the games I'm playing. These are, my like library of gacha games I'm playing. And that game was always there. It was always in the section of I'm actively playing this game. This game is always there because even if I'm not doing a lot in Opera Omnia, even if I'm not like actively playing Opera Omnia, I can always just pick it up and play and do stuff and get stuff done and enjoy myself and just have a fun time, see characters I care about interact. This game meant so much to me, and I really loved it. Not to mention, it had an incredible combat system. It was a gacha game that the development team was very generous to their players, cared about their players. It felt like, and I do know as Force Weapons came out, they started to lean away from and this might be a reason of why the player base started to drop off. Actually, worth considering is because when you treat your players incredibly well for years and you have one tier of weapon that you can't get in the game outside of summoning and gacha, and then when you introduce a new tier, they would move that what was the previous top tier to being able to get outside of gacha, and that's how they handled things. But when Force Weapons came out, well, I guess it would be with Force Weapons. They didn't move the previous tier of weapons outside of the gacha, so it was just more things you had to gacha for. And this player base,
it was just bloated.
Yeah, this player base who had spent years of, only having one tier of thing to hunt in the gacha. Realistically, I mean, there was a reason to summon. Like, yes, you could get the things outside of it required work though, so getting them in the gacha was easier. But the fact is now there were two tiers of weapons there, and it was just more you had to summon and more you had to do. And I'm sure some player base felt very jaded by that and probably started to drop off from that as well. But I don't know how I got from this being such a game that meant a lot to me to that. But
hey, even if you have negative in quotation mark criticism, that generally just means passionate about the game.
I have my own assumptions on this, and it comes from the rest of Square Enix.
Right. Sure.
But do you think that there is a chance what they're doing is going to introduce another round, another Dissidia game that is a bit more modern?
Fucking hope so, please.
I would be fine if they did that. I just wish we had some kind of hype build up into it, kind of tease or something, instead of just an EOS out of nowhere.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, I asked that question with my answer being no. But I was wondering if maybe you all knew something that I didn't.
I haven't played that last chapter. I don't know how it ends, so I don't know if that might have something to do with a tease into it. But honestly, no, I don't think there is. I do think the system is archaic in some ways, and I do think there are some things that I think the development team, I'm kind of thinking, wished they could do differently, but they couldn't, because you started to have a lot of characters who had different forms in their kits and how their powers worked in the series, and those weren't always realized as epically as I'm sure some of the fans wanted, and I'm sure the development team probably wished they could do a little bit more with.
For me, this might be wishful thinking. I'm huffing copium right over here. I'm gonna somewhat semi-piggyback off Dollard and say I'm kind of hoping so. Again, this is more like me wishing. and huffing and all that. Now, not to get off too topic with Opera Omnia and Brave Exvius, but Kingdom Hearts Missing Link is kind of semi hyping 4 up. So I'm hoping if Dolit has like the correct mindset or like the correct questionings, that Opera Omnia may lead into another Dissidia game, because I'm referring that to Missing Link kind of semi hyping Kingdom Hearts 4 up, and I'm hoping
Hmm.
those two things are in Square Enix's mindset.
Okay. Yeah, you definitely did take that question a little bit differently than I expected. That would be nice, because Lord knows that I would like
It would.
another Dissidia in the vein of um Duodecim,
Duodecim,
but
but
at a a more modern take on that. But
Duodecim.
I don't suspect we're going to be getting
Yes.
that either. I was actually asking the question I think Matthew answered, which, do you think we're going to get an Opera Omnia Duodecim, where they just wanted to modernize a couple aspects of the game? But if there has been no like lead up to this, I kind of doubt it. Also, Square's not in a position where they should be adding more and more live services. They are doing the correct thing at the moment in paring them back. It just is a shame that Opera Omnia has to be one of them.
Took the axe instead of fucking Brave Exvius, yeah.
You two keep going back to Brave Exvius. Brave Exvius is not the worst. It's not even close to being the worst mobile game that they have out. They have a city builder based on 15 that is literally not Final Fantasy at all. That bothers the hell out of me.
Yeah, that one's weird. That's just a weird thing.
And that, I think, might be the second highest, if not the highest, grossing one.
No shit.
And that's
Strangely, yeah. But I mean, there's this really rabid and weird sub fan base of to just city builders in general.
It's true.
Okay, I know that, don't get me wrong, but like, I did not hear about this city builder Final Fantasy 15 mobile game.
Yeah.
So I didn't know that was a thing, so that's why I didn't put it into my calculations, I guess. But like, it's just weird, you know?
It's that one doesn't surprise me. Like I said, there's this really rabid like group of people who love city builders, and
yeah,
just flock to them. So that doesn't really surprise me to hear, because whenever I've met or talked to somebody that enjoys those city builder games, as somebody who has in the past casually enjoyed city builder games, they really enjoy those city builder games.
yeah.
So I mean, that's fair.
Exactly.
That one doesn't surprise me. The only reason Brave Exvius is the one I bring up because it's the most direct. I mean, prior to Ever Crisis's release, was the most direct comparison to Opera Omnia, because it was a Final Fantasy gotcha game that was a little different, because Opera Omnia was all of the existing Final Fantasy titles, those characters coming together and having a story. Brave Exvius is its own story, and its own unique story, I will say, from what I did play, was actually really interesting, and I really wanted to play it more for that, but the game itself I just did not enjoy it. On top of all the other things. But then you can summon other characters from other Final Fantasies and stuff. So that's just kind of a bonus feature. I don't really think it had a lore implication to it.
So here's the thing about Brave Exvius, right? If Brave Exvius was like an actual proper off-title Final Fantasy game, like Bravely Default or like Crystal Chronicles and all that, right? Like, it's not part of the main numbered series, right? This would unironically be like one of the better like off-title games, because like the story is good, the music is great, the characters are they're more or less likable, like they have character arcs and all that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like as a game, it is good. As soon as you put the mobile mechanics into that game, that's when things get all muddy and murky and like
Well, not to
there's
be
so many banners and all
not
that
to be
shit. Just,
mean,
oh my
but the
god.
mobilization of games in general is a pretty big issue. Even Capcom's currently feeling that with Street Fighter 6.
Mm-hmm.
And their
It's,
whole
I mean,
really?
yeah,
thing.
no, the people and companies, trying to mobilize games and the mobilization of games is definitely an issue and things I think some companies are trying to do when I think it would be better if they just focused on making games as they have because there's still definitely a consumer base for that. You don't have to mobilize the game for it to, interest people.
Yeah, exactly right.
Um, I mean, do you think different, Dalit, or am I off on that?
No, again, like the most current thing I have in my head is the Capcom thing with, and this just comes down to um the monetization practices. Capcom and a lot of AAA titles get their issues with mobile games from monetization. So if that's what we're talking about, then no, I think you hit the nail on the head. I don't think that that's something that needs to move over.
Monetization of games nowadays is just excessive, to say the least.
I mean, this is what
You
happens
want to
when you're
buy
a
this
part.
skin for $5?
Well, $5 is fine. Actually, that's the issue.
Well,
Um,
yes, but like it's not just that skin. It's also literally 50 other
no,
skins as well.
at the end of the day,
And
the issue is even in terms of like gacha stuff like this. It's never it's never really the initial price. Like if the price prospect is $5, that's fine. Let me pay $5 and I'm good.
yes,
It's that you have to buy
yes,
their
exactly.
currency, which is never $5. It's $4.99 or it's $4.50 or it's $2.45. Some weird off kilter example where you have to buy more than you want.
Yeah,
That's the issue with that. I don't want to dwell on this too much because this gets way off topic.
Yeah,
right.
but we like Brave Exvius to kind of bring it back to what we were
Sure.
talking about. Um, is a beautiful looking game. Like even I will see when they post the new unit like ultimate animations or whatever they are, and they're
Yeah,
beautiful. Like
visions.
they're really nice. It's just the gameplay to that game is not enjoyable. The monetization method to that game is egregious. The gotcha to that game is too much.
Awful.
Yeah, like I said, I've played games that encourage. I've played hundreds of gotcha games, like hundreds of them, literally. Like while we are talking, I have four of them open in the background doing things so that are just there.
Yeah, full Genshin Impact
Shut up!
accounts.
No, I don't. I have two. Um, I play gotcha games, and in like Brave Exvius, like from what I remember, and this might have changed or whatever, you pull a unit, and then when you pull a dupe of a unit, it gives a percentage or something towards a unique item or equipment or something based on what that unit is. And then after you get so many dupes, you get that equipment or item or whatever it is.
Oh, yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, that's still in.
That's still in the game? Okay.
Yeah,
And I can't remember if dupes did more than that. They might have.
I think so.
I think so, but I can't remember. And to my knowledge, they didn't have it when I played in that first year. Did they add it afterwards? Maybe. I don't know. Let me know if any of you listeners know, or Nat, if you've learned and you're trying it out in the last couple weeks.
Bro.
There are no items or anything to increase that percentage, so you have to pull dupes.
They have changed that.
There are items and
I,
stuff
I,
for it
I
now.
no. It's actually it's kind of weird, but like also so what it is, right? You need to have the character. Thankfully, just like the level itself be maxed out. So, like, say the max level is 120 for the Neo Vision character, right?
Hmm.
I think it's just simply doing missions. It increases by like a point something percentage. So there's like a passive way of increasing that bar you're talking about.
Well, that's good. There's
But
something else at least.
obviously dupes is still better.
Right. Well, I mean, there's something at least. Like, I have played games that have a similar system. I played Last Claudia, um, and that has a system towards its arcs, which are equipments that are in the gacha, where dupes build a meter towards you getting a unique equipment, uh, and they have items for that. Dupes do it, and then just you have a chance of it happening after at the end of each mission to increase as well. And I know that the item wasn't always a thing, but the happening after missions has always been a thing. So you didn't have to summon for dupes even in the beginning. You just needed one copy. So
Wait, I actually could be wrong about that. What I just said. I think it's alts instead. There's a myriad of like fucking mechanics in that game that like you do one thing and something gets increased in something, right? Like it's not just the one thing. There's like three other things as well. It's either what you said, Matt, or it's like leveling up your like ultimate or something like that.
that's another thing. Um, is you see this with some gotcha games and some of them don't have it, where they add new systems to progress in the game, which you have to have that, right? That's a live service thing. You want to keep progressing in the game, you got to have new systems to do it,
Yeah.
etc. and so forth. But sometimes those things just kind of get more complicated, and then the older things don't make as much sense because the newer things, and they don't ever address that issue in some games. And just kind of what I've been hearing from Nat about Brave Exvius is like it definitely suffers from that over bloating of all these systems over the years and different
Oh.
things, and it's just kind of like for a new player,
It's
it's
not
like
just
where
the
am I going,
system.
right?
Yeah.
It's not just the systems, it's the news because like again, this game is old, so there's a bunch of just uh there's this banner, there's this banner, there's this banner. All these banners are like, yeah, actually you have to pay real life money to pull. And then there's like tutorials being like drowned out by these news and like and then you click on the actual like, um the summon. It's called summon, and like it's just bloated with information and notices and all that shit. It is ridiculous just how much like just information is quite literally in your face, and if you don't press the X button, it's not going away.
Hmm.
Mm.
Well, that actually does make me ask a question. Not that last statement, but just the concept. Since we've been talking so much about the money aspect of these games, how does it feel when a game that you have invested this much money into potentially? Because I know, Matthew, you'll throw a few dollars here and there, and I have no idea about your spending habits, Nat. How does it feel to know that it'll just be gone? Like you don't even get an offline version. There's no trophy. There's no little something you can go back to and enjoy every now and again. This is just going to go away.
Short and sweet answer: I hate it, but I understand it because it is a live service.
Okay, so
game.
you're understanding about it. That's interesting.
So I'm pretty understanding about it too,
Yes.
realistically.
Okay.
Because I've played so many. And I've stopped playing so many. As far as I'm concerned, if I get enjoyment for whatever I spent in the time that I'm playing it, then that's money well spent, right?
Okay.
Like,
That's
I mean,
I'm
look,
the same mindset.
so think about it like in terms of this. You pay, I was gonna say 60, but new games are $70 now, right?
Correct.
So
yeah,
So you pay $70 for a new game. What is the average amount of time you expect to get out of a AAA title nowadays?
I tend to get about 100 hours out. That's usually where I go because I get my platinum and I bounce.
I want to say between 50 to 100 myself.
50 to 100 for the big. So yeah, y'all are about on point. I would say 50 to 100 to the bigger RPG esque titles. Your more
Yeah, again, it depends on the
narrow
game.
genre titles, you're looking more between 20 to 40, I think. That's what you're getting for
Yeah,
about
kind
that's what you're
of.
getting for about $70,
Sure.
and that's pretty understandable. I have, and we'll stay with Opera Omnia as an example, hundreds of hours of enjoyment in this game for a game I downloaded for free. So I never have a problem spending money to support that game because I've more than gotten the enjoyment out of what I'm paying. More than it in Opera Omnia's case. Now there are some gacha games that I've played where I probably haven't gotten quite as much hours out of what I've spent. Um, I will not name names, but so that's that's kind of my way of looking at it.
Okay.
And when I see a title, if I see it come to a natural conclusion, if I like, if say Opera Omnia had went 10 years, right? It went 10 years total. I played it for 10 years. I would have zero qualms and, saw it like a more natural EOS coming to it.
Yeah.
This one's just kind of jarring in the suddenness of it, and it in a way does make me feel a little bitter. But but that's just more the suddenness of it all than having spent money on something that's now gone. Because at the end of the day, like, how much money have I spent on 14 paying my sub? And I never would question that over all of
Yeah,
the
but now
hours
you're
and stuff.
comparing live service to live service. I was
Well, I mean,
thinking about more like comparing
that's
it to I've put thousands of hours into Monster Hunter, but I can always go back to it even when the new one came out. For instance, I don't enjoy Rise
Comes out,
perhaps as
yeah.
much as I could. I am back to World because I have that ability. Hell, if I felt like taking a break from this, I could go back to my portable third, which I have like 3,000 hours in.
Yeah.
Monster Hunter is a unique monster unto itself.
I mean, that's certainly true.
There aren't many games you can pay, one time and then actually be able to get that kind of time out of. Generally speaking, that's just an anomaly.
I
Especially
wonder
nowadays, I
about
think.
that because you have games like fighting games, which you certainly can. Shooters, you tend to be able to, so long as multiplayer is still accessible.
Yeah, I mean, I was gonna say, excluding those that are competitive based, so fighting
Sure, there you go.
shooting games. Yeah, yeah.
But I guess to your point, like a game like
But this is a live service to a live service, right? Because gacha games are live service games at the end of the day. So
yes. I was trying purposefully to compare it to a non-life service, but if we're being fair, yes, comparing it to another life service is probably the more appropriate thing.
I mean, at the end of the day, I played Opera Omnia and will be playing Opera Omnia up to its completion. I mean, when this episode comes out, that might only be a couple weeks away to a little over a month away. I'm not super sure, but I will have and will be playing it unto its completion. It's not like, FGO and the egregious amounts that I spent there for a game that I just stopped playing years ago.
Hey, man. It happens to the best of us. I mean, think of League of Legends players.
At the end of the day, even if I stopped playing Genshin tomorrow, which I'm not, even if I stopped playing Genshin tomorrow, I would still feel better about it and the money I've spent in it compared to, say, FGO again. Because, again, it was egregious how much I spent there and how little I got. And, I put as much time as I did despite that. At least in Genshin, I do have nice things, and I do get nice things when I am willing to dish out. So,
Yes, it's nice having a proper pity system.
which is a question: does XVS have a pity system now? Nah, because it didn't at first.
I legitimately do not fucking know because they have not given me. They've given me enough gems to do one pull, which I did, and I'm just like, oh, okay. I got the so Neo Visions are the I'll say like the burst of this game, right? Like the best
Mhm.
of the best characters, right? Um, so I did one pull on a banner called Kyo. You guys don't know him. I don't know
What
him.
was the name?
He looked cool. And Hyo,
I
Hyroh.
feel like I know what character that is. So I think I've seen art, but go on.
So yeah. So I pulled on his banner. He had a feature which was the Veritas of the Frost. Veritas is like this game's equivalent of like the elemental guardians from like Final Fantasy 1, right? You know, Fiend of Fire, Wind, and all that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I got him. I'm like, oh, okay, cool, and that's it because yeah, they just gave me enough gems to do one pull, and I haven't. The problem, so another problem with this game is while everything is bloated and front loaded with information and all that, right? They do give you, depending on when you play it, obviously like anniversary and all that with all the free shit, but like when I started playing, they give me a bunch of stuff, and they said if I do this mission, I get to do a free pull of all these like Neo Visions characters and all that. So you pull for that, you get super strong characters. Like I am talking about, I'm casually doing 4 billion fucking damage as a level 1 account, which is insane. The problem is the game, the actual missions itself is like use fire, use a limit break, use make sure Laswell uses mirror of equity, right? So this game gives you all this like just overpowered characters, and you can't use them throughout the actual story itself because if you want all the gems, you gotta do these
No, I
specific
think that's
missions.
fair.
Which
I think that's fair. That encourages replaying those when you're strong.
yeah,
They're giving you a way to get through the story.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. But it's like if I don't know, it's kind of like I'm not allowed to play with these characters just yet. But if you do like the events, obviously you can use them. But like, you know, I want to like blaze through the story, but I can't do that because I can't get the gems.
To answer your question, Matthew, I looked it up. I can't find anything on Brave Exvius, but War of the Visions, which I assume is the upgraded Brave Exvius, does in
It's
fact have.
different
I
entirely.
have
Oh, it's
no idea.
oh, okay. Well, never mind.
The only connection is it's the same world, but you're playing in the past.
Okay, never mind.
Oh, okay.
You're playing in the past, and it is actually it's like a tactics, like Final Fantasy Tactics style gameplay with a gotcha for your
Yeah.
units.
Yep.
I don't see anything for a pity system in Brave Exvius then.
See, like that's one of those things. Like
Oh.
again, we're not saying anything that doesn't mean that it isn't there. It just means we don't
Yeah,
know.
I just couldn't
Um,
find it.
but it's a pity system is kind of a necessary thing and for a lot of people in gotcha games nowadays. Like if your game doesn't have some kind of pity,
Oh yeah.
you will see issues from your player base because then you end up in those situations that FGO had for up until like last year, I think, where you can spend thousands of dollars and not get whatever's on the banner because that's how gotcha odds and chance work.
See, you say that, Matt, but if Dollard is what is Dollard is saying is true, Brave Exvius is the one that's making Square Enix money in terms of the mobile section.
That would probably mean that they may not have a pity because that means people just have to keep spending to get what they want.
Yeah. But it shouldn't ever be seen as
Exactly,
a positive.
that's what I'm saying.
But here's the thing: that doesn't mean you don't need to do that to your players to get money.
Correct.
Because Genshin has a pity, and it's still the top, ranks in the top amount of money across gotcha games on the market.
This is the most correct take. Having a pity is a safety net for both the player and the company, frankly.
Yes.
And by not having one, you just look ancient.
And, like, I agree with you guys.
Or greedy.
Like, don't get me wrong,
Or greedy,
but like
yeah.
it baffles me that Brave Exvius is making money in JP when it doesn't have a pity system, and there's games, as you have mentioned, that have pity system that are, also like good and great and making money for the company, right? For that company.
Now, this should be noted because this might seem like a hot take, and I'm going to remind everyone here I very much like Dissidia. There is a very good chance that people are more engaged with the Brave Exvius story than they are with the Dissidia story. Or they might see Dissidia as, strictly speaking, just a side experiment because the first three, the fighters, just weren't well received, or weren't received to the extent that everyone would have expected. It could be that they just take Brave Exvius more seriously.
Look, if I have one person come and tell me that they play Brave Exvius for the story, I will shake their hand and say, yo, I understand. I understand a good story. But a good story alone just doesn't sell me in a game, and that's just me. So, I mean, if they're playing it for the story, kudos to them. I wish that I could because it was interesting.
It was.
I would very much have liked to keep playing for that, but,
Hey, some people can. Lord knows I do not play Arc-Knights for the gameplay.
Yeah, that's fair.
So.
Yeah. So, I mean, I get that. I do. And, that could be the case. That could be why some people out there are that way. I will say, everybody who's quit Opera Omnia that I've talked to generally has mostly positive things to say about Opera Omnia, even after they've quit. The vast majority of them that I've talked to and that I've seen on the internet. The people that I've talked to that have quit Brave Exvius don't have many nice things to say about Brave Exvius.
Yeah, that is true. That is true.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, if Brave Exvius was literally off title, it is just like how Bravely Default is. You got your story, the 4 Warriors of Light, got your crystals and all that. Because that's essentially what the at least early game story for Brave Exvius is your the 4 crystals. You don't really have Warriors of Light, not that I know of. And like, if it was just its own game, Brave Exvius would be like a pretty good fucking game and story and all that jazz, right? But like, I don't know mid to late game how that changes in terms of story, but like the gacha system and the information overload and bloatness of it, and like just these ancient mechanics, like the crafting system is like there's no point in that anymore. There's just like so many things that it's just like left forgotten and not taken out of the game and all that, and it's just like a mess in early game, other than the story and music.
I'm going to follow that with something on topic, but slightly off as well. As I've said, I've played hundreds of gacha.
Yes.
Absolutely hundreds. And that says a lot about me, maybe. I don't know. There's a good reason, I promise. I'm not getting into that now. But I'm so tired of gachas. Like the system of gachas in general.
Yeah.
Like, why? Why do we have to keep getting
money?
Gachas?
Money. It's literally it's just money.
Yeah, it really is
look,
just money.
Apex makes plenty of money just on cosmetics, man. like that's just a random title I pulled, but there's so many games that make money off of just cosmetics and stuff.
Gacha is easy.
Why can't I
money?
I still play gacha games because they're fun and I enjoy them. Obviously, like I play Genshin because I genuinely enjoy Genshin. God help my soul. I genuinely enjoy Genshin. But it's just like, I'm so tired of gacha. Like, can we not get these games as games?
You kind of have, there's one misnomer, and no one ever speaks like this, so maybe I'm being a pedant. But gacha isn't a genre. Gacha is a monetization.
Yes, that. monetizing mechanic thing. It's weird.
That's
Like,
fair. It is.
So, for instance, Genshin is an action gotcha. Star Rail is a turn-based RPG gotcha.
Wouldn't Genshin be an action adventure RPG technically?
Sure. Point is, like, the gotcha isn't the genre, it's the means by which they're getting the money. It's why we will see AAA games and go, oh, they have a gotcha in them. But they suddenly don't become a gotcha game. Gotcha is just a term that we throw on for any mobile game, regardless of, frankly,
Yeah, I mean,
if they
to
have
be
a
fair,
gotcha or not.
that is what I'm meaning. I am mostly meaning games that you can download on mobile that have gotcha elements.
Yeah,
For the most
I mean,
part, yeah. Even though
having a low budget game with monetization isn't in and of itself terrible. If gotcha were to die, I wouldn't shed a tear.
same,
Yeah.
but I mean, it's just a lot of those games that fall into that gotcha category I'm talking about end up being really good games. It's one of the only ways to play turn-based RPGs nowadays. It feels like
Star Rail.
it's
What?
it's like
I think Square's doing pretty alright on that regard, if I'm honest.
I think I've said this on cast before. I'm not a huge fan of Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom.
Yes, you have said that.
Sure.
But I think Genshin does that formula better for the most part.
Hard disagree,
Just
but
the-
fair.
Like
Action, adventure.
your weapons not being durability, not having durability. You know, you just need good weapons. You just need good equipment and big old world to explore and have fun with. Yeah, I like that a little bit better. Bosses in the world you can fight. That's cool. Puzzles out in the world. That's cool. There are some things that I do think Zelda does do better. I won't say that it's, I won't say Genshin is the end all be all in that regard, but it's just, for me personally, it is just more enjoyable. And then that does kind of boil down to the way I enjoy Zelda. It's just not that.
Sure. Like, that I definitely agree on. We've had our 2 open world games. I hope they don't do it again.
Yes, please be done with that.
But that said, I don't know. I don't know, man, because of the mobile aspects, I don't know that I can actually think of Genshin as a better version of that. I don't like the
That's fair.
resin.
If we got rid of resin.
Grind for artifacts.
I don't mind grinding
like
for
it-
stuff.
Oh, I do. It bothers the piss out of me. Because the way that they have their rates set up is absolute garbage. I would rather get somewhere...
Bro, it's not the worst. It's not the worst equipment system I've played with a game. So
Oh, I'm sure it's not, but I don't play gachas very often, and if I do play them, I tend not to play them for very long. Yeah, no, I don't. There's too much I don't like about Genshin to agree with that statement. That said, I see promise in Genshin as a storytelling a means by which to get a good story out there. There you go. A vehicle, not transport. Vehicle was the word I was looking for.
Hey.
Especially after I finally got past Leeway, because oh boy, let me tell you, if you told me that about chapters 1 and 2, or at least cities 1 and 2, I would have pointed and laughed at you, because the finale to Leeway was really good. Everything else was middling, and all of Mondstadt is trash. Fight me.
that's fair. No, Mondstadt's better in the events and stuff when you come back to it, more so than its own story. Yeah. Same thing with Leeway for the most part. When you come back to it for events and stuff, it's usually better. Like Lantern Rite every year is really good. But yeah, when you get past that, the story starts to consistently escalate.
Okay, spoilers, guys. All right.
Yeah,
Well,
we
no,
won't
this
say
probably
anything.
isn't the story to... sorry, this probably isn't the episode to get into Genshin, because that is an episode unto itself. Or...
But I will ask. So yeah, Kazuha. Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, it's great. I genuinely hate that he's in this game, because he's got a really great story that I'd like to actually follow and play through, and Genshin isn't letting me do that.
Yep.
I now no longer care about most of the other characters I've run into, because they're not as interesting as he was in, quite frankly, the 1 hour I had with the guy. And that 1 hour was probably more like 10 minutes? And then a lot of me walking around.
Can't wait till you get to Sumeru and Fontaine. It's gonna be more of the same.
I just look, you don't understand. Like there's a lot about the stories in MiHoYo games that I like, and there's so much about the games that I don't.
Wow. Okay.
I'm gonna
spoiler,
I'm
guys.
gonna end my little thought with it like this. Games is the only studio of this mobile bunch that understands me. They understand that I'm never playing Grand Blue, so they're giving me the option through Relink to play one of their games. Thank you, Games. I hope
I want
every
that.
single other one happens.
I want
'Cause-
that. I want more of that. From
Imagine if Genshin did that.
Exactly.
Holy shit, I'd be a fanboy.
Right?
I would absolutely be a fanboy. I would buy the game, I'd buy its DLC, and I'd buy the cosmetics. Fate
So
has
much
tried
so.
this. Fate makes bad video games. I still buy them, but their games are fucking trash.
That's
This
fair.
game, granted, it hasn't come out yet, so we're gonna have to talk about this when it does. But this game fills me with such hope that Gacha can put out their game, ruin someone else's lives, come to me with an actual game that I just have to pay $60 or $70 in DLC for, and I will do that way. Thank you.
So much so.
Oh my goodness.
I want
I'm so
more of
excited.
this
Don't
from...
go to Aqua, no.
He already knows. I want more of this from companies that make gacha games. Take this game that you've done critically well with and turn it into a single player title or a title that has co-op potential or whatever.
Yeah, just
like
make it a real game.
Just make it a real game. Like, oh my god, if you could play Genshin and not have to worry about gotching for characters and weapons and just, play
Just
with the
don't
characters.
have the full roster.
Yeah, just
Give me the Liyue game where I get to play as Zhongli, who's another popular one, Hu Tao,
Zhao,
Zhao,
Ningguang, Keshin, Bido.
You know what? Just give me the Adeptus game. There you go. Just give me the Adeptus game. I would do that, especially with Cloud Retainer coming out. She looks like she's going to be a typical MiHoYo character and super pretty.
Yeah, that's fair. But like, we can bring that back to Opera Omnia because, bro, if I could get Dissidia Final Fantasy
my
Opera
goodness.
Omnia in like it's there. It's set up for it.
You've
there
written
are
the story. Just
it's a
make
turn-based
it with
game.
Make it with the NT models. How can you imagine?
Please.
It's a
yes.
turn-based game. We've
Holy
seen
crap.
games have rosters nearly the size of Opera Omnia in turn-based because not everybody's on the field at the same time. It's
it could be so
doable.
great.
I'm passionate
Listen,
about
I have
this.
no idea what the fuck these guys are talking about other than the Dissidia thing.
Long story short, remake Dissidia, give it a full-on remake where you just fucking take these 4 mobile purpose models that they were excellent for mobile and give them the NT situation and retell the story. And I don't know, do it by chapter or by arc or something. I don't know how you'd break it up, but it doesn't have to be one game. This can be a side series. The way it was originally meant to be. Nope, we're good. We're good.
So one of the things Opera Omnia had that was well received and enjoyable were the burst weapons because they're really flashy, big attacks that each character did or is known for. Something like Cloud had his big finisher from the Sephiroth fight at the end of Advent Children, things like that. It's a missed point there. Like they had some characters in their burst animations, like Terra, who has a trance, use their trance for a big attack in their burst animation specifically. And then whenever you used your burst in Opera Omnia, you had a burst buff for several turns. It's a really missed opportunity that they had that the character wasn't left in that transformed model for the time that burst phase was up. Because they had the model, obviously, because they used it for the animation.
Right.
Why not just leave it that way? Because in these last couple, days I've been playing since EOS was announced, and they've made it to where you can fairly easily, get everything for the most part. I went and kitted out Vincent from Final Fantasy VII, for those who don't know him, and his burst is Chaos form from Dirge of Cerberus. and it looks so freaking sick. And I hate that I can only see it for like 5 seconds in his like final burst animation, and then it's just back to regular Vincent. I'm like, no, go back to the epic form.
Yeah, I know, right? It's
So if they remade this into an actual game, they could actually do that better. You know, keep the forms, let the forms mean something a little bit more like they should, considering what they actually mean in their own games. I probably had its, you know, things I could critique about it for sure. It's not a perfect game. I don't think anybody thought it was a perfect game.
oh god no.
I think it had a very dedicated player base that very much enjoyed it, and is all very shell shocked that we're just suddenly getting an EOS. Which I've said that multiple times this episode already. I know, it's just I'm shell shocked that we're getting an EOS.
He's still in shock, listeners. But yeah, it's a shame that that we're Dissidia, Opera Omnia, at least is shutting down, and
I mean, Dissidia too. This was Dissidia's lifeline for the most part as a series.
Well,
Correct.
I was about to say, like, do we actually know if there's anything that's gonna come up in terms of Dissidia after this,
No.
or like,
No, there's been no leaks.
Because they
no...
blindsided everyone.
Yeah, there's
Just
no
came out of
leaks, no
nowhere.
nothing. Yeah, out of nowhere.
This may or may not be the last time we get a new Dissidia game for a while, or
I'm
if
just
ever.
okay, there we go. Yeah, I think it's probably more for a while.
I'm hoping
Dissidia
so.
has the upside of
Any of those
being
crappy fighters aren't going to give us a story like Opera Omnia. Sorry, not sorry.
No, that's true. It's an anniversary type of title, right? So like they'll probably remake another one in who knows how long, just to celebrate X amount of years in Final Fantasy again. But
Right.
as for now, no, probably not. I wouldn't expect to see this title for a long while.
Alright, well, I'm going back to Dissidia NT then. Goodbye, everyone.
Oh, I'm sorry.
There is a light, albeit small,
Oh.
at the end of this tunnel. So there's been a post making rounds on the Reddit and Discord and stuff, and I talked to our friend Kobe about it a little bit earlier. Some people have been supporting like tickets to the Square Enix support site or whatever for Opera Omnia or whatever, saying, you know, requesting, can y'all, instead of just killing it, give us like an offline version, like just turn it off so that we can still play it or something. And
That
while
would
they're
be
not
really cool.
it would be, wouldn't it?
It would.
While it's not something that's been, they're not straight out saying yes. They are hearing the feedback and they are seeing the feedback. So there's a little bit of a little like, you know, speck of light of hope at the end of that tunnel. That, you know, if they do that, hey, can you just give us those like 5 months of JP content we didn't get into global, please? Thanks.
Just a last burst. I am remembering something though. That was something they specifically said they weren't doing on the EOS.
It is
Update.
It is, but I like
they were very particular in actually calling that out.
It's true, but I mean, they could, as some people in the community have pointed out, they have quote unquote bullied. that's not a good word for it, because bullied implies like negatively. They have, you know, the fan base has talked Opera Omnia into doing things before, so
okay,
maybe they can change their minds, and maybe, and who knows, maybe, you know, maybe the team behind Opera Omnia is fighting for something like that in the background. We just don't know that.
Square, just sell it. Just don't make it free when you do the offline version.
Right?
Done.
I'd pay for it.
Just scrap back a little bit of funding. It's fine.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, honestly can't imagine they were funding it that much. It's not like it was all that graphically intense.
Ah, fair.
Just saying. There's something else I want to put in here, completely unrelated to everything we've talked about, but I just want this to be in this week's episode.
Sure.
Then that is and that's that I previously said, because we're, you know, 3-4 days out from the Game Awards now. I previously said Spider-Man 2 Game of the Year. My opinion has now been changed. My opinion has now been changed. I was playing Baldur's Gate 3 with Nat a few days ago, and there's a trophy. There's a trophy for petting the dog and the owlbear at the same time.
Yeah.
It says you have 2 hands for a reason. No, I'm sold. Game of the Year right there. That's what I'm here for.
Yeah.
There we go.
We got him, ladies and gentlemen.
We need that. Yes, we have 2 hands for a reason, so you can pet both of the animals.
Oh, so fucking adorable, especially when, cause the owlbear was having a nightmare. I'm just like, oh, he's a little baby.
Yeah, guys, I'm still a little depressed and bummed about this, and I will be for the foreseeable future. And you can expect in any of the definitely going to be more of mobile gacha-esque episodes in the future. You're gonna hear me refer to this game a lot because this game means a lot to me, and it was genuinely a good game. It was a gacha game that traded its player base like they mattered, unlike 98% of them out there. Because 98% of them out there see them as dollar signs. I'm looking at you, exactly. Genshin. Yes, I know.
Yes.
Yep. I still play it.
Money.
I have 2 accounts.
That's like Counterside trading you.
Oh, bro, Counterside's like it's like dying, man. Me and Boss Man are having troubles keeping people in the consortium. We're like both just like, we like this game, we like this story, but man, they are handling it crappily.
That's unfortunate.
Me and him are concerned about that a little bit, and if he bails out, I might end up bailing out too. So I'm hoping he sticks around. My gacha pool at the moment is like at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games right now. I think it's only 5. Though one of those is Genshin, and I have 2 accounts for that now that I'm playing.
Matthew.
What? Jesus Christ, bro.
I like this game, damn it!
Yeah. You do.
He does.
And because of stupid systems like resin, I can only do so much sometimes. And I want to do more. I'm going to be streaming, trying to catch up in the story on my new second account, probably one day this week, because I need to do that. I need to catch up in the story.
Fair.
So, because it's also free stuff, because it has a returner bonus I need to do. So, look forward to that, guys.
I'm pretty sure this episode's not going to be out before you do.
Oh, no, it's not. That's directed at you two. It's directed entirely at you two.
That was not us?
Stuff like that. Stuff that's too specific gets cut out anyway, so it's fine.
Edit this out. Cut this out.
So yeah, that's that. That's what I'm gonna do. That's my current depression. Anything you want to throw in there, Nat, about that?
Yeah. I'm not gonna watch you because that is spoilers, and that is my reasoning as to why I'm not watching you, and this is not a total cop out.
It's 100% a cop out because I had him interested in playing early a few days ago.
If I watch, you're gonna spoil me, and I don't want to get spoiled.
Last time I checked, you said you were gonna skip the story anyways.
Oh, I didn't. I was gonna do the story.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
that's staying in. By the way, I have
edit this out.
I have witnesses to this eventually.
No, okay. Matt, you know me. I'm not a story skipper. I'm only a story skipper when I've already done it first time.
Look, I have 3 witnesses right here, man. You said you're doing the story.
Yeah, I am doing the story. I'm not skipping that unless it's like just boring shit like go get me 10 fucking Makoko seeds in Lue or where the fuck it's called. I'll be like, yeah, okay.
You know what? Those were almost all accurate terms. I'm gonna let that one go. That was
editor, fucking edit the last 3 minutes out. Okay, from here and backwards.
Wait, don't make my job.
But yes, I
anything else
will
from you
be
guys?
doing the story. I will be doing the Genshin Impact story once I start streaming it. Don't worry, I'm not going to skip it unless it's like absolute, just basic generic dialogue gibberish.
Ooh, I got some bad news for you.
Yeah, I must say it starts off
no.
that way. It does start off that way a little bit.
Oh,
It gets better, like
boys.
as you heard, it gets better. But
All right, okay.
so you guys can
Yeah, that's all
all
I've
look forward to hearing updates on Nat's journey through Genshin later, and more gacha gaming things as we are bound to have that come up again because, guys, I play too many of
Not a
them.
one-off.
I play
Yeah,
way
this-
too many of them.
This ain't a one-off, listeners. We'll be coming back to mobile games, not regularly, but pretty often.
You can probably say
somewhat.
regularly, and you won't be wrong.
Regularly. Oh, okay. Well, yeah.
I play too many of them.
Yeah, he fucking does.
This is a silent cry for help.
All right.
There's no helping
Yeah.
me. There's no helping
Yeah,
me. I'm
no,
lost.
no. You're too far gone.
Anything else you want to add in there, Dalit?
I don't think so. This really isn't something that I play a whole lot of, and I think I got a lot of my biggest feelings out during that whole relink section. So I'm good.
Oh, that's
I'm good.
All right. Well, I want to thank everybody of our listeners for listening. You are all greatly appreciated. Be sure to pass it around, and while you're at it, go follow us over on Twitter at Celestia Radio PD. And if you have questions or topics you want to suggest to us, don't forget to use the hashtag AskCRP. And we keep our eyes there to find fun ideas and things to talk about. So hit us up there, and you may see it in an episode. Don't forget the YouTube section down below. Comment section down below is also a good place to do that. And yeah, share it around, guys. If you didn't know, if you're watching this on YouTube, or if you're watching this on or listening to it on Spotify, we have it in multiple places. So do a little gander around, see where you can see it. Links are below, and share it around. Wherever you might listen to your podcast, you can probably find this. So if you have a friend that's interested, but they don't want to listen to a podcast on YouTube, well, we might have it where they listen to their podcast at. So look in the description below. And of course, we will see you all next time. Goodbye, y'all.
Catch you later, everyone.
Be good now.
Peace.